Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit our website, holybatcast.com. It is your one-stop shop for all things Holy BatCast. You can also find us all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. Also, we are on Patreon, so if you love the show and you want to become a more official member of our Bat Family, you can do that through Patreon. You go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And so I got to give a big thank you to our latest patron, Mr. Francisco Matalana. Francisco, that's fun to say. Francisco. He probably gets that all the time. I'm so sorry, Francisco. I went for the low-hanging fruit. Usually I try to do better. But thank you so much for becoming a patron. It really does mean a lot to us. We appreciate it. Thanks for being part of the family. We couldn't do it without you, and we couldn't do it without all our patrons. You can find out again at patreon.com/holybatcast. And Francisco, you rock. You can also find all the other shows that are part of the Real Fans Network at rf4rm.com. So while you've got a little time on your hands, if you're looking for some other shows to check out, rf4rm.com. Some of the shows that me and our fellow Real Fan pals do. You can check those out. As always, I'm Andy DiGenova. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. So this is one of those potpourri episodes, as I like to call them, which is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. A couple little news updates. We are most importantly going to look at the first few episodes of Season 2 of the Harley Quinn animated series on DC Universe. Then we've got another episode of Batman Beyond for you. And finally, we're going to wrap it all up like we always do by answering your emails. Joining me, of course, is my bat brother from down under. It is Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
How are we?
We are alive, which is better than the alternative.
Yes, particularly in your country at the moment. I'm so glad that, well, you know, at least all my friends that are in the States have all remained safe and healthy. So, because sadly the percentages aren't in your favor.
No,
but I'm so glad
it's
that
not
you
going
guys
great.
that you guys are still looking after yourself. So, please keep that going.
Okay, I'll do my best. Just trying not to die. That's my one goal right now. Also joining us, you miss him, you love him. It is our pal Jamie Drewley.
You threw me for a second there. I'm like, wait, what?
No, I was just being mean. He's gone. He's not here. He's still on hiatus, but you know, this is when we pour one out for Jamie Drewley because we do miss him, and he'll be back sooner than later. But anyway, I like to give people a little bit of hope before I take it away, because like Bane says, there can be no despair without hope.
He does say that.
Bane knows what he's talking about. So anyway, sorry guys, no Jamie this time. Anyway, before we get into Harley Quinn, there are a couple little things that I thought that were worth mentioning. First one is bad news, but expected news, and that is that Comic-Con has officially been canceled.
Yeah, I saw this yesterday. I mean, in news that surprises no one.
Right. I mean, we were all just waiting for it. I'm honestly shocked it's taken them this long to make it official, but, you know, it doesn't surprise anyone. It is what it is.
I did hear on might have been the last Fat Man Beyond, because yes, I do still listen to that, because even though I don't love Mark that much, I do still like hearing Kevin talk about geeky shit. Mm-hmm. They were saying with...
Does Mark let Kevin talk about geeky shit?
Surprisingly, yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
They were saying that they'd either heard, or the theory was behind it taking so long to be cancelled, is that they were waiting for essentially the council or the government to say to them, you have to cancel it, before they went ahead and cancelled themselves. Because if they're told to cancel it, it's kind of is it forced? Okay, it's sort of like a weird Latin term, whatever. But But yeah, they then don't have to refund like deposits for exhibitors and stuff like that because it's not them that are cancelling it; they're being forced to cancel it.
Oh, interesting. So they get to keep a bunch of money.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's like they're still, they're not losing a lot of, obviously they're going to lose money that they'd make at the event, but in terms of, deposits and things that have already been paid, they'd still get to keep the vast majority of that. I don't know if that's gospel. That, like I said, I'm just quoting what was said on another podcast, but that's what Kevin and Mark were saying.
Interesting.
Which
I hadn't heard that.
Kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. But I mean, again, like, it makes sense. I get it. Safety first. So it sucks. It'd be nice if there was some sort of virtual Comic-Con in July where studios would still release some goodies for us. That would be kind of fun, just to make us all feel a little better, because so many places have been doing that, which I love. Like, I love that everyone's kind of trying to do their part to deliver a little bit of entertainment, something fun, some happiness during this time, and everybody's doing what they can. I think that would be nice of the studios for, like, oh, it's Comic-Con weekend, we wish we could be there, but because we can't be there, here's some goodies.
Yeah, I mean, your studios and stuff could still hopefully have enough content to release trailers and things like, even teasers and things like that. You would hope, fingers crossed, though, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. So, yep, I mean, it is what it is, but again, right now, the top priority is flattening the curve, and so Comic-Con will wait. And, I mean, silver lining, completely 100% selfishly, is, again, I won't be sad about missing this year's Comic-Con.
You're not going to be there, yeah.
I'm good.
Doesn't matter where in the world you are, you're fine. But the other thing is, too, with, like, releasing trailers and stuff at Comic-Con, I mean, yeah, they've got the big events there. But in terms of, when these trailers hit every year, it's always sort of on that Sunday here in Australia. I mean, yeah, the internet blows up and everything, but I mean, those trailers would still blow up the internet regardless of the event they're released at.
Right.
Because the majority of the world's not in Hall H. It would still have a very similar impact in terms of, internet hits and clicks and buzz and stuff like that if they were just to release it over the weekend that Comic-Con was meant to be on, or at any stage. Let's be honest, it's still gonna get traction.
Yeah, of course. So, is what it is. We will see. We'll see what happens next year. But speaking of little nuggets and things, we talked a little bit last time about how Wonder Woman 1984 is starting its promotional push for the movie that's now delayed to August. And again, I'm not expecting to see it in August. I think it's going to get delayed again. But
yeah,
it doesn't matter because the promotion's already happening. I was at the store today. I did brave the grocery store, wore the mask. It was a Batman mask, so my mouth was the only thing not covered. So I don't know how that worked.
For a second, I thought you meant it was actually like a Batman, like surgical style mask. I was going to say, "Ooh, where did you get one? And can you get me one?"
I do think it's funny that you can order stuff like that now, and I should buy one. I haven't. I have just a very boring white one from one of my vendors from work. So fortunately, I just have that in my backpack from when I go to factories and do reviews and things. But anyway, so I did brave the grocery store, and yep, sure enough, I saw Wonder Woman Doritos, and I almost bought them, and I haven't bought Doritos in years, but like, I just wanted to because it had Wonder Woman on it, just to do my part. But anyway, we also got a couple more photos from Wonder Woman 1984, and did you see the really long widescreen photo of Wonder Woman with the golden lasso in what looks like the White House? And we had seen, obviously we've seen moments of this sequence in the trailers, and I feel like we'd even seen photos from this sequence, but now we see who's on the other side of this little brawl, and it is Barbara Minerva, Kristen Wiig, not full cheetah, but also not nerdy Barbara Minerva. She's in the middle stage of her cheetah-ness, where she's wearing the leopard print, but she's still just her, holding on to the lasso. Did you see this?
I'm Googling it now. This is completely missed my radar. I have not seen
it
this.
came out a couple days ago. I tweeted it from Holy BatCast, Brendan.
Did you?
You don't have alerts on for Holy BatCast?
For some reason, my phone did an update a little while ago, and I don't seem to really get alerts for anyone on Twitter anymore. I should probably go in and see if it's changed some sort of setting. But yeah, I'm just jumping.
Oh,
on
it's
now.
the old "it updated" excuse, right?
No,
right.
I'm deadly serious.
Your phone was dead, right, Brendan?
Let me have a look.
This is why you leave me hanging when I'm up at 3 a.m. and I message you with you up.
There we go. Oh, that's really cool. This looks like this is more from Empire, is it?
Yeah, it's from Empire.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's awesome. Like, and what's funny is when I saw this in the trailer, I did not expect Barbara Minerva to be there. Like, that was unexpected for me. So that's kind of a surprise, but it's just a great shot of the two of them facing off, and you can see their adversarial relationship starting to take effect. And then there was a second one that came out, which is of Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, who is wonderful, wrapped in the golden lasso. And it looks like the same setting, so it could be part of the same sequence. So I wonder if Diana is going after Maxwell Lord and Cheetah intervenes, or vice versa. She's going after Cheetah, or I don't know. I don't know the sequence of events, but it seems to be taking place in the same setting, whether it be the White House or the Capitol building, obviously somewhere in D.C. But Maxwell Lord is covered in wrapped in the golden lasso, and then there's the other shot of Barbara and Minerva holding on to the lasso. But these are badass.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for my new issue of Empire to arrive, because I am a subscriber, so I look forward to it. And then I look forward to being pumped for the movie that God knows when I'll be able to see.
That someday we will watch.
Fingers crossed.
I was listening to DC Movie News. So you plugged Fat Man Beyond. I listen to DC Movie News because they are just news and they're always under an hour. So I love it. And they seem like perfectly nice people, which is great. I've met a couple of them just in passing, and they're nice folks. But they were saying it made me laugh just because they're like, yeah, did you see that we got this covered? Reported that Wonder Woman 3 is going to be finished before we see Wonder Woman 1984.
How is that possible?
That's the joke, because it's we got this covered.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha.
We got this covered is the punchline of internet movie news.
Yeah, actually, I haven't seen any of their stuff shared for a while. It used to just flood my news.
I think because people
can you stop sharing it?
It's like everyone has sort of wised up by now, and now whenever anything is shared or they're mentioned, it's always as a joke because they're a joke.
Yeah.
But it just made me laugh. Is that like everybody throwing shade at we got this covered? But anyway, it was funny. Something else, like years ago, you remember Darren Aronofsky, he developed a Batman Year One movie.
I remember that.
Yeah, and the script is out there. I feel like I have read it. And it was a bit much. It was, for me, I feel like it was interesting, but it was just a little too far removed from Batman that I was never sad that we didn't see it. Because it was the one where, like, you know, Alfred is a big black mechanic called Big Al, and like
Bruce was a street rat.
And Bruce is homeless, and the reason he's Batman is because he has a ring, and it's a W because of Wayne. And when he would punch people, it would leave the W mark on them, and so then everyone thought it was a bat, and so then they started calling him Batman. It was weird.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was weird. There were some decent ideas, but like it also felt like it's just that he was taking too many, diversions away from the core story. But anyway, apparently, the person he wanted to play his Batman in Batman Year One was none other than Oscar winner Joaquin Phoenix.
That makes sense for a project like that, and Aronofsky's a little bit left of center, and obviously so is Joaquin. So that gels in my mind. But again, I'm really glad it didn't happen.
Yeah, here's what he says. It's kind of fun. You know, it's always fun to hear the what ifs, and if we didn't address it, we would get an email about it. So I figure we'll just address it.
There's probably one in there anyway.
I'm sure there is. It said the studio wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. and I wanted Joaquin Phoenix. I remember thinking, we're making two different films here. That's a true story. It was a different time. The Batman I wrote was definitely a way different type of take that they ended up making. He said the Batman that was out before me was Batman and Robin. I got it. The Batman movie that had come out previous was Batman and Robin, the famous one with nipples on the Batsuit. So I was really trying to undermine that and reinvent it. That's where my head went. And so someone asked Freddie Prinze Jr. if he was up for Batman, and Freddie Prinze Jr. said, I wasn't. That's just internet stuff with no sourcing whatsoever.
Okay.
So,
because I did read that yesterday, and I was like, Freddie Prinze Jr. But then again, this was like
2000,
99, 2000.
Or yeah,
but
yeah.
Even then, my God.
In 2000, I get why the studio would say that, but it makes sense to me that he would have never heard about it, because it sounds like, the director was having these conversations, and he's like, I envision someone like a Joaquin Phoenix, and they're like, oh no, we want someone young and hot. What about like a Freddie Prinze Jr.? You know, I feel like it was those conversations before like it ever got to Freddie Prinze Jr.
Like, nothing against FPJ, but
I like Freddie Prinze Jr. He's a good dude. I enjoy him.
He's a good dude.
I like him.
But he's not a Batman.
But, yeah, I mean, it would have been weird. I will say, had this ever gotten made, it would certainly have been fascinating. But I think, especially at that time, it would have been the year of Gladiator, or right when Gladiator came out. I think Joaquin would have made a great Batman at that time.
Oh, yeah. I have no qualms with that at all. I just don't like this version of the character.
Yeah, I didn't like some of the weird story beats that were in there, but I think that like Joaquin as a dark reinvention of Batman in the early 2000s would have been really cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even going into the the era of Begins and stuff, he still would have been that sort of close enough in age.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would have. He would have been cool.
I'd have been into it, but yeah, it all worked out. Batman Begins was awesome, so I would not trade it. Nope. So something else that's coming up our way is more DC on the small screen. So J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Company, his production company, has set up a deal with HBO Max, and it includes a series based on Justice League Dark. So, there are also a one called Duster, which is a 1970s set series about a getaway driver, and Overlook, which is essentially The Shining, the series. Overlook sounds cool as hell to me. I'm into that. I also, because I just watched Dr. Sleep, and I thought it was awesome, so I'm...
Still haven't seen that.
Dude, it's awesome. It's great. My only regret, my only negative is that I bought it sight unseen, because many people who I trust said, oh, it's great. And I went, okay. And it was on sale. So I was like, what the hell, I'll buy it. And I just hit play and I watched it and I loved it. And everyone's like, did you watch the director's cut? And I went in and checked and I was like, no, I just watched the theatrical. So now I got to watch it again because apparently the director's cut is even better. But the theatrical was great. So I can only imagine how the director's cut is. It was really good. So I like that universe. I like The Shining. I really love Dr. Sleep. And so I'd be into a show, but that's not the point. The point is Justice League Dark.
Okay.
Because it's DC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've been throwing around that property for a movie for quite some time. I mean, even Guillermo was attached at one point, wasn't he?
Yep, he was. Doug Liman was.
So, I mean, if they're going to go this route, it makes sense. The HBO had a big hit with Watchmen last year? Yeah, late last year. So, if they can sort of do something like that and, with Justice League Dark, I guess it makes perfect sense. No,
that's a great point, is how great Watchmen was and, like, how well received it was. Going to HBO Max it's prestige, right? It's on HBO. It's different than another CW show. And I'm not throwing shade at the CW. I love those shows. But it's just a different approach. I'm not the biggest JJ fan. We all know this. I've never hidden that. I think he's fine. I I do not worship at the altar of JJ. I think his output is pretty mixed, but it's his production company. It's not like it's going to be a JJ Abrams joint. I mean, or maybe it will.
Yeah.
We'll see. But it's still enough to get me excited because I love the characters in Justice League Dark. You know, it's a shame that the movie just spun its wheels for the longest time. And a Justice League Dark show could be really great, especially on HBO Max. So I'm excited for it. Like, I think that's really cool. I myself and many other people have been like, oh, like, use Swamp Thing from the DC Universe show because he was perfect. Like, you've already got a perfect Swamp Thing. You've already got a perfect Constantine.
You do.
You know,
That's
you've already,
the one for me.
You've got them. You've got a perfect Blue Devil. Like, you've already got a couple perfect versions of these characters that you could just roll into this show. That's my wishful thinking, but I don't think that is what will happen.
No. And I would love to see... It's Matt Ryan, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go full R-rated Constantine. I mean, he has in animation, kind of. But yeah, because I mean, he's Constantine. I'm sorry. And yeah, I'd love to let him, see him really go swing for the fences with it and not be bound by, studio ratings and and whatnot. So, and yeah, you're right with Swamp Thing again. Because while you were talking about it in my head, I'm just like, the lineup they have is going to be very interesting because, yeah, I mean, you say Justice League Dark, you kind of expect Constantine to be there straight away. Swamp Thing's another one where they've got established versions of those characters with other franchises. Do you do the cross-pollination? So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they should. I wish they should. I don't expect them to. I think that, especially because you think about it, like, those were done with Berlanti. I think Berlanti even did the Swamp Thing show.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is a whole different production company. He's not involved. It's like starting from scratch, and I think because it's starting from scratch with a new production company, I think they'll just want to do their own thing. But it does make me wonder, like, Justice League Dark, there are certain characters that we associate with it, Swamp Thing and Constantine being amongst them, along with Zatanna, I always think of.
There's really only been one live-action Zatanna, hasn't there? And that was on Smallville. Is that correct? I can't think of another one.
I think you're right. It is weird that she has not shown up in, like, Legends of Tomorrow or The Flash or something. And if she has, I'm forgetting it, so my bad.
No, she hasn't, not to my knowledge. I can't remember if she was in the Constantine show. But
I don't think she was, because they didn't go that far. Constantine only went like half a season. So all they did
it was one full season. I'm pretty sure.
I feel like it was only 13 episodes.
Actually, no, it was only, my bad, it was only 13.
Yeah, it was only 13 episodes. Because I watched it, and I feel like
it was a good show.
I enjoyed it. I feel like the farthest they got, though, was teasing Dr. Fate and the Spectre, but they never got far. Like, they weren't allowed to go far enough that we ever really got the two of them.
See, the beauty of Constantine in the CW stuff, or the fact that he's on Legends is the kind of show where you can, and they do, swap out the team quite regularly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could sub him out and his time on the CW stuff be done and use him in this and not be a problem of, needing to cross those two over in the future because he's done his time on Legends and that's it.
No, I think that's absolutely true. Like, the only thing keeping them from using Constantine and Swamp Thing and Blue Devil is if they don't want to. Like, there's no reason they can't just pluck them all up and use them in Justice League Dark. I just don't think they want to. I think they're going to want to start from a clean slate and just do whatever they want to do. And who knows if those characters are even involved.
Yeah.
Like, the current Justice League Dark comic is headed up by Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I can't see that happening either.
I don't think that. I think it won't be Wonder Woman because of the movies. But it would be interesting that, like, if it's not Wonder Woman, usually it's Constantine. And so, would you really have two Constantines on TV, or would you just not use the character and have put someone else in that leadership role?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to have Zatanna.
Yeah,
on some level.
Because you're gonna have Zatanna, you gotta have Deadman. I feel like you have to have Swamp Thing, and then Detective Chimp is in the comics right now. I'm sorry, Jay Yaws, I'm just not a big Detective Chimp guy. I also think that would be hard to pull off in a live action television show.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, but there are other characters. Sure, you could swap in, but it'd be interesting to see what the lineup they go with. But I'd love it if they used the ones that are already out there, because again, like, save the money. Like, you already have a perfect looking Swamp Thing. Perfect. Like, he looks. You couldn't ask for a better looking Swamp Thing. You have and you have the perfect Constantine, and you have a great Blue Devil. Like, you could just use them, but I just don't think they will.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah, but I'm excited about it. So it's crazy that like HBO Max is going to have Green Lantern, and then they're going to have Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
So here's what I think, and because this has come up a lot, and a lot of people have wondered, I think DC Universe's days are numbered.
Yeah, in terms of the visual content, I guess so. I mean, as long as they keep, I mean, not that it bothers me at all, but, you know, like you guys with the comics and that sort of stuff, if they can keep that side of it going, fantastic. But, yeah, I think as far as the you know, the exclusive content they have, like your Harleys and Titans and stuff like that, it's probably going to go over to HBO Max.
Yeah, which is fine if it all just gets dumped to HBO Max and then I just have the one service. Great. I just hope that is what happens and we don't lose that stuff. You know, I hope like I love the amount of content that's on DC Universe, both movies, TV, comics. Like, I love all that stuff. I love access to all that stuff. If you're just going to push that into HBO Max, so I'm only paying for HBO Max and then still getting all that, great. But if you're going to like let me keep paying for DC Universe, but now you're not dropping anything new on it because everything new is going to HBO Max, that just feels wrong.
Yeah, hopefully it can be like a layout like, say, Disney Plus, where, you know, when you go to their home screen, you've got your different sections there. You've got, you know, your Disney Pictures, your Pixar, your Star Wars, your Marvel, where, you know, at the top of the screen it will have like a DC logo, and that's where you go for your DC show, you know, and all the old content as well, like your original series, your animated stuff, your old Superman movie, you know, all that stuff's there. It's just under that umbrella.
Yeah.
And hopefully Australia will have access to it.
We can hope. So, yeah, again, like the fact that the new content they've been announcing, it's all been HBO Max, because even the Aquaman animated series they announced was for HBO Max.
That's right. Shit, I forgot about that.
So, like, that's what they're mentioning. They're not mentioning DC Universe. So I think that, you know, again, ideally it'll just get folded in, and you're right. It'll just be a tab I can click and go, and it'll be essentially what I already have, and that'll be great. I just don't want to lose all that stuff that's in there.
Well, the other thing is, too, I mean, I don't know if you were going to mention this, but that new Stargirl trailer dropped during the week as well. And if you remember correctly, that started off as a DC Universe show.
Yeah.
And it's a CW show now. I mean, like, I know it's going to be on both, but it's not marketed as a DC Universe show at all. It's marketed as a CW show.
Right. Yep. So again, yeah, it's just reading the tea leaves. I think that's it. So, but I still am enjoying DC Universe for now, and hopefully it'll continue on. And something that you mentioned a couple episodes ago is that Harley Quinn is back. So we're now in season 2 of Harley Quinn, and we have gotten 3 episodes deep into the new season. So we wanted to talk about it a little bit. Let's start.
3 seems to be the number that where we start talking about.
That's right. That's right. Also on a quiet week, we do it then too. But so we did get 3 in, and we will speak spoiler free for anybody out there who likes the show and don't want to be spoiled, because as we mentioned, the show is like not afraid to mess with the status quo.
Hell no.
Which I appreciate, like that sort of all bets are off. And so, yeah, I guess there are things that can be spoiled. So we'll give a spoiler warning before we go into it. But we are 3 episodes into season 2, Brendan. Spoiler free. How you liking it?
I'm loving it, man. I mean, I've made no secret about it. I love this show. It's honestly, it's my favorite of all the original programming that DC Universe has done. And I've loved all the shows, don't get me wrong. But this one it speaks to me on a level, I think, because it's so R-rated in the humor, and I love it. And I enjoyed the first episode of season 2, really loved the second one. I thought it's been the highlight of this season so far, and maybe the highlight of the last chunk of episodes, including the back end of season 1. And see, the latest episode I didn't think it was as good, but it was still very entertaining. Like it's a very bingeable show. I find, like, when I've got a bunch of the episodes of each season, I am finding myself going back and watching them a few times, and because of the length of the episodes too, like it's very easy to digest. But no, man, it cracks me up. It really does. I know you and a few of the other guys aren't really a fan of Gordon, or the way the way they handle Gordon in this show. It slays me. It really does. But like, the second episode of this season, where he's in, spoilers, apartment. I like the rundown, broken version of Gordon. It does make me laugh, and the reason why I can accept it is because this show is so its own thing. It's not. You're not going to get this version of Gordon in a movie or a comic or something. This show is taking the piss. No one's safe, and it is something a bit different, and it really makes me laugh. So, and I had no idea until today, when I was watching one of the episodes, that he's voiced by Christopher
Maloney.
Maloney, yeah, I had no idea that was him.
Yeah, they have great vocal talent on the show, and yeah, like I said, he doesn't quite do it for me. He's fine, but it's not that I'm like offended that they're making fun of Gordon so much, because they make fun of everybody. Like, it is its own version of the Bat universe where everyone is played for laughs. And just, some of it I just find funnier than others. And it's not a deal break for me. It is what it is. But I agree with you. Like, the show is hysterical. And I do think that the show has only gotten better. It's only gotten funnier. Some of the most random things that they say kill me. I love King Shark. I think he's one of my favorite parts.
I was about to say, because when we did the first 3 episodes of season 1, you, me, and Jamie, I don't think King Shark had come into it yet.
No, he came in like a little bit later. So
I can never pronounce the guy's surname. It's Ron. Is it?
I say Funches, but I don't know if that's how you say it. But
yeah,
that's how it's spelled.
He kills me. He's so funny because he's such a gentle giant, and he'll be like, he's such a sweetheart, but then he just rips someone's head off or something.
Right.
Oh, it kills me. It's so funny.
And it's so freaking violent. Oh my God. It is hilarious. Like, how unabashedly, insanely violent is. Like, gleefully violent. Like a Mortal Kombat game where it's just like, no, like, everything is over the top and ridiculous, and like, including the violence. And it does crack me up, because you're right. Like, just, again, like I said before, all bets are off. They just go for it, and it's ridiculous.
Like, I can't remember. I know Jamie wasn't for it, but when we were seeing the trailers and stuff for this series, you weren't really taken with it either, were you?
I didn't love the pilot. Like, the trailers, I was fine with. I wasn't like chomping at the bit, but I thought they looked good. But the pilot really had me worried. I didn't love the pilot, especially because the pilot was just so riddled with nothing but F-bombs, and it just felt like it was too much. But I feel like the show has found its groove. And then I also think there's something to be said on my end, where I've just tuned more into its wavelength and appreciate what it is, because it is unique. Like, it's weird because I can't think of another animated comedy that I can relate to, that I can compare it to. So it's weird because it's kind of like Batman the Animated Series meets South Park. Like,
yeah, kind of by way of Family Guy. I don't watch Rick and Morty, so I don't know what that's like, but I know it's like that kind of weird, obscure humor as well. Yeah, it's those adult cartoons that are very popular. It's sort of DC BTAS by way of that. And like, I remember when it was first announced, like a year or two ago, there was something about the idea of it. I'm like, this could really work if it is what I think it's going to be in my head. And then the trailers that I saw, I was just all about it from the get-go. I'm like, no, I reckon this is going to be hilarious. And everything I've seen, it's been exactly what I hoped it would be. And it hasn't let me down yet. I love it.
Well, that's good. And I do feel like people, I'm trying to think I think people really love the show. I feel like I mostly see positive things. And like even people who aren't huge DC people who've watched the show have thought it was really funny. So I think that like generally it's working. I think it's hysterical. And again, it's one that like when it comes up, I've got to watch it, and it literally makes me LOL. And it's so damn funny. And I love that it is, takes place in Gotham City. I love how much of the Bat universe that it includes. I like the Easter eggs. There's, all of that is really fun, but it's just really damn funny. And I like that it plays by its own rules. And I was a little taken aback by that. But this season, especially more than last season, they're really just going crazy. And you're just like, well, they're just doing whatever they want to do. And it's set in this Harley Quinn animated universe. So you just take it on those terms. Yeah.
And it serves her story and her journey, I guess. Are we going to get over a wall at any stage? Or
so I think, I think season 2, like I said, I feel like the show has only gotten better and is really hitting a stride. And I think that each episode is hysterical. And because again, I there's still tons of swearing in every episode, but it's also, I think, just more clever the way it's done now. And so, it's great.
Not every punchline of every joke is an F-bomb.
Right, exactly. But yeah, it's great. But I want to speak freely, at least about these first 3 episodes. And so if you're worried about spoilers, jump ahead. But you should be watching Harley Quinn. It's hysterical, and it's great new Bat content, even though it is 100% R-rated. Don't watch it with the kids. Lots of swearing and lots of blood. Spoiler warning is out there.
Oh, yes. I was just waiting for you to take the lead.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you wanted to go kind of episode by episode or just do free for all. It doesn't matter to me.
I think we can go episode by episode. I mean, they're only short, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm not going to do a breakdown of every episode, so. Yeah, okay. I'll just give you the quick overview. The first episode of season 2, it's called New Gotham. So if you remember at the end of season 1, Gotham was in shambles because of explosions, but Harley defeated the Joker. So now Gotham is no man's land, and it's all a post-apocalyptic wasteland of chaos. And Harley is just enjoying the freedom of the chaos. But of course, all the Batman villains who are left in Gotham, because Batman's gone missing, FYI, all the villains that are left in Gotham are like, well, great, now it's ours. So they split up Gotham amongst themselves. They become the Injustice League, and they split up Gotham. So it's Penguin, Riddler, Bane, Mr. Freeze, and... Penguin, Riddler, Mr. Freeze...
Two-Face.
Bane, and Two-Face. Yes.
Yes.
So they split up all of Gotham amongst themselves, and they actually do invite Harley, but she's like, no, you guys are just going back to the way things were. It's more fun this way. No one's in charge. It's great. And so they freeze her... And she becomes the centerpiece of the Iceberg Lounge for the Penguin. And so her gang have to spring her and save her. And once they do, they get into a big brawl with the Penguin and his goons at the Iceberg Lounge. And things get real.
They do. We're one mob boss villain down.
Yeah, when that happens, so Harley gets into a fight with the Penguin. And... I was just saying real quick, like there's the moment where like the Penguin is walking into the Iceberg Lounge and everyone's like, "Hello, Mr. Penguin. Hello, Mr. Penguin." And there's like the girls and like it's like, "Hello, Mr. Penguin," and one of them's like, "Hey, sex later upstairs?"
Yeah. Yes.
And he gets into the elevator and the elevator operator's like, "Hello, Mr. Penguin," and he shoots him and he's like, "That was one too many. It felt disingenuous."
It's so, like, the way it's done is because he's holding his umbrella down low, so you don't even see him, like, really raise, like, he doesn't raise a gun or anything to him, like, this guy's just standing there, and the next second his whole insides just spray against the wall behind him.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit.
And he's like, I really meant it. But anyway, yeah, Penguin and Harley get into it, and when Harley bit off the Penguin's nose,
You would have thought the same thing I did straight away.
ugh, so gross. But yes, I guess turnabout turnabout is fair play. Is that it? Is that the phrase?
It's got to be a nod to Batman Returns.
So yeah, how do you like it now, Oswald? But she
took
literally
his nose clean off.
She literally bit it off, and it was like I was like, oh god! And then when she shoves the broken bat up through his head, I was like, oh shit, no more Penguin, really?
And he bleeds out.
Oh, there's no doubt, because at the end of season 1, when they killed the Scarecrow, I was like, oh no, I love the Scarecrow. I can't believe you would kill the Scarecrow. And then here, first episode of season 2, they killed the Penguin. I was like, oh, apparently everyone's expendable. Okay, got it. Everyone except Harley Quinn, I guess.
Actually, yeah, and another villain who I do love in it. He's sort of treated similar to Gordon, but and that's the way they handle Bane.
Bane kills me. Like,
I love that he's the punching bag for every villain.
Yeah.
And I love that it's a piss take on the Tom Hardy voice.
Uh-huh.
I really do. It's so funny.
Well, when the Injustice League is all sitting around and he's like, you had time to make a banner, but not to get me an office chair?
The one that killed me
he's
was
in the tiny folding chair.
And they didn't have goons. And Bane's trying to work the coffee machine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, we need goons. And like, he's beating this coffee machine. And the Riddler just comes in and pushes a button and it works. And Bane's like, I loosened it for you.
Yeah, I love Bane. He cracks me up. He's awesome. So, yeah, it's good. And like I said, I think a couple episodes ago, I love that Mr. Freeze is there now. I think he looks cool. The design's great. The voice is great. I like when he was like, I don't do organized crime. I'm just trying to find a cure for my wife. And they're like, yeah, but how do you pay for that? And he's like, organized crime.
Yeah. Actually, Mr. Freeze is in the first episode, and each episode this season so far, we've had a new character introduced.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which has been cool. It's not just the same team every episode.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. Like, yeah, they're It's weird. They're killing characters, but then they're also expanding the universe with new characters.
Yeah.
I love when after she killed the Penguin, and yes, like they draw out his death, like they just let him bleed out, and she's like, "Let's go get coffee." Like, I wanted to find that gif of "Let's go get coffee." I thought that was great. I also like that she was there for like 2 months, and it took them 2 months to figure out a way to save her.
Yeah, Ivy got shot, and all this obviously happened off screen. But then at the end, there was also that little stinger of Bruce Wayne in like a military hospital as well.
Right. Yeah. So they have found him, and I think was it the first episode? I watched them all back to back, but I think it was the first episode where Gordon is trying to call Batman.
Yes, and Robin shows up in the Batsuit.
Robin shows up dressed as Batman. He's like, I'm ready to take it. I'm ready to do it.
And he's making out that he's as tough as Batman, and Gordon throws the bottle of booze at him and hits him in the head, and he's like, ow, that was hard plastic.
Yeah. I also thought it was amazing sorry to go back to Mr. Freeze, but when he made his entrance and he freezes the doors in the Penguin's lair and busts through it, and he says something about like your door is broken or something, and the Penguin goes, well, it was a pull, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many like little off the cuff comments that people make, and it's so funny.
I think those are the ones that I think crack me up the most, is like the random little off the cuff remarks that are like very real world and relatable. Though that's what makes me laugh the hardest, I think.
The one that killed me, and jumping forward a little bit, in the second episode when the protesters in Riddler University, they're protesting, they want to reintroduce courses that can actually lead to lengthy careers and stuff. And as they're getting dragged off, you just hear like an arts degree.
Yeah.
that slayed me.
So, episode 2 is Riddler U, and because of this post-apocalyptic wasteland, the only one who has power and clean water is the Riddler, and Riddler has taken over Gotham University, and he's made it Riddler University. So, Harley and Ivy decide they're going to bust into Riddler U, kill the Riddler, and steal his power and his water. And then there is the funniest, most random side story where Dr. Psycho and King Shark have to go find a water purifier.
Yes.
And so it's like it is so silly that like that's their big adventure. Their big B story is to go get a water purifier. And in the end, it amounts to nothing because they don't need it. And so Harley breaks it.
They've had to, like, they made like a blood pact or something. They've become part of the Bane boy.
Yeah, exactly. They agree to be part of Bane's gang just to get through the neighborhood, and she doesn't even need it. But yeah, so they go to Riddler University, and there is some great stuff in there, like the two like a cappella group people who are trying to recruit.
Yes. Clayface is Stephanie.
Oh, Clayface as Stephanie was amazing. Yes, and he's so good, and he's like, and Chad, like I like Chad, but he wants me to commit, and I don't know how I feel about it, and he gave me the weekend to think about it, and oh my god, it's amazing.
I love how whenever Clayface is, playing a character, the voice will completely change, but there's always that little underlying hint of the Clayface voice. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it cracks me up.
I love how into the character he got into Stephanie, and like how into the college drama he was, to the point where like later on in the episode, Poison Ivy is like, "You're a clay monster, stop it."
Well, and Harley gets the shits that he's there, but like Ivy's like, well, he's actually like Stephanie's doing pretty well.
He ends up being super useful. I love the moment. So when they're at Riddler U, there's a tour guide. They like kind of step in and join this tour that's in progress, and the tour guide is none other than Barbara Gordon.
Which we find out. We don't know that straight away, but we do find out sort of mid-episode.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Babs.
So we find out it's Barbara Gordon. We end up back in her dorm room, and she has Batman posters everywhere. She's obsessed with Batman, which of course makes sense. And Jim Gordon is crashing with her.
Yes, with his... He was in the shower. He's got the pink towel wrapped around his waist. Jim Gordon with his shirt off in this show too is hilarious. He's got like the biggest thatch of like red-brown chest hair.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, is it in episode 1 where, like, his wife's like, I want a divorce?
Yeah, I'm a good cop. The song that he's singing.
Yeah. I did like when he was trying to give a pep talk to the cops, and he's like, and we've got to have more in the vending machine except sparkling water that tastes like coconut. And it cuts to the one female cop, and she's like, I kind of like it.
Oh, what was her name? Oh,
I can't remember, but it was funny.
Because it was like, say it was, I don't know, Julie. It's like, men and Julie.
Yeah.
Like anytime they refer to her. Oh my god.
But yeah, so Jim Gordon is like so gross back at Barbara's apartment. But I love when Barbara is like trying to talk to Harley and Ivy, and she cranks up the music so that way no one can overhear her. And so she's having this serious conversation with Harley and Ivy, but Harley and Ivy are dancing. They can't help but dance. It cracked me up.
Oh, it killed me. And I know Jess was pissing herself at that as well. But like, they're having this really serious, in-depth conversation about how they're going to try and find the Riddler and essentially, take him down. And but the way they're dancing as well, it's so funny.
Oh, the animation's perfect on the way they're dancing. It cracked me up. It was great. And so they end up like at a frat party, and they're trying to figure out why all these people are disappearing. They're trying to find the Riddler. And I like how the Riddler is like, you, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. And they're like, how did you know? And he's like, oh, how did I know? The 90s miniskirts, the pigtails, the chunky flats.
And it's like, oh yeah. But then earlier in the episode too, Harley finds, what they think is the Riddler, and she beats the living hell out of him. And it's, what is it?
Jiminy
Riddle?
Yeah.
He's
the mascot.
He's the Riddler U mascot, and the frat party they go to is to raise money for him. And he's in the wheelchair in like a complete body cast, and there's two people just dry humping up against the wheelchair.
Well, I think it's Clayface and Stephanie who was like, they're raising money after the beating you gave him, and Harley goes,
Yeah.
I already donated.
Yeah, Harley donated because she felt bad.
Well, Harley's like, now I gotta go find and kill that tour guide, or I gotta go kill that tour guide. And Poison Ivy's like, find the tour guide. We have to go find the tour guide.
Yes. And actually, Barbara is voiced by Kaylee Cuoco's sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't even know she had a sister. I looked at. It's her sister.
Yeah, but anyway, we find out the reason that the Riddler has power and water is that he keeps entrapping college students to run on hamster wheels to run it, and as they die, he just keeps replacing them.
And Stephanie's in there.
Yeah, so Stephanie went in and ended up getting captured, and then Ivy and Harley too. And fortunately, Barbara, she steps in and she gets her first taste of justice as she jumps in and she saves them. I also liked when she picks up the gun and the Riddler is like, oh, what are you going to do? Shoot us all? And she's like, no, I'm going to shoot that switch. And I loved when Harley went, no, you're supposed to say, I'm only going to shoot you. Because that's immediately what I thought when she said it.
And then she misses the switch. She fires off like 5 rounds.
Yeah. But yeah, so she releases them and they manage to get the Riddler, and they're like, oh, we're just gonna drop him off at Arkham. And she's like, oh, let's go get Froyo. What do you guys do after a big fight? So she's gotten a taste of it, and at the end she indeed takes her first step to being Batgirl.
And you see the new Batgirl costume from the comics.
Yeah, and it's like
yellow and purple. And...
Yeah, it's almost there. It's not fully formed, but it's the stage 1 of the Batgirl costume.
Yeah, I love that episode. I know I messaged you and Philip after I watched it as that one, and even just rewatching it before we recorded. I was killing myself laughing.
Yeah, it was hysterical. And I love that it was a Riddler episode. But they end up taking him back. They don't drop him at Arkham, and they just have him run on a treadmill to power their little hideout there in the mall.
Yeah.
And that's why, because he was there, the water started being clean, and so...
Yeah, they didn't need the purifier anymore.
Yeah. So that was the second one, Riddler U, and then the third one is Catwoman. So, episode 1, we met Mr. Freeze. Episode 2, we met Barbara Gordon. And in episode 3, we get Catwoman, this version of Catwoman. So, Harley is she's trying to take out each of these 5 big bosses of Gotham, sort of to get revenge because she got frozen in the first episode. So she already took out Penguin. She killed him. She took out Riddler because Riddler is now powering their base, and so she was after Mr. Freeze. And she can't get through the ice wall of Mr. Freeze's fortress. And I love the 2 henchmen who accidentally tell her everything she needs to know.
That was like a Monty Python-esque moment, that one.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
The guards on top of the tower, that sort of thing. It really reminded me of a Holy Grail scenario. But yeah, that was. I keep saying it. It was very funny.
Yeah, I love. They're like, nothing can get through this ice except Firefly's flamethrower, which is in the museum right now because Dr. Trap has taken all these different things and put it there, and they give her, and she's like, okay, thanks guys. Text me if you think of anything else.
They spew so much exposition. It's
it's awesome. I love it. They basically, Dr. Trap has all of these artifacts from the supervillains, and he's got them all in this museum, but he's set up all these traps. So Harley tries to go get this flamethrower that's going to get her into Mr. Freeze's lair, and realizes that these traps are more than they can handle, and so that's why they call Catwoman for help. So we meet this version of Catwoman. Much like Mr. Freeze, I think her design is great. Her voice is great.
It's very much, it's very much the Jim Lee stylistic version of Catwoman.
Yeah, I love what they do with her character in that she's just so cool. You just want her approval.
Yeah, like the backstory with Ivy, and that Ivy just all she wants is to be. Is for Catwoman to like her.
Right, exactly. And it's so funny because she's like, oh, Catwoman, she's the worst. And as soon as she shows up, all she does is want Catwoman to like her.
Over
yeah.
her.
It's so funny. And I like how Catwoman, just as she's walking through the restaurant, she's just
Stealing shit
as she goes. And when there's so much funny stuff with Ivy, like seeing the insecure side of Ivy when she's like, I love that jacket. And Ivy's like, well, thanks. I mean, I was thinking of donating it, like, it's just like so in style now, but you really like it? You really think it looks good on me? And then I love when she goes, oh, look at us, the three of us, we could all get matching tattoos. I'm just kidding. I mean, not really. I mean, like, we could do it. I know a guy. Like,
and then they cut back and like Catwoman's wearing Ivy's jacket.
Yes, yeah.
And Ivy just doesn't care.
Yeah, and Harley's like, she just stole your jacket. And she goes, yeah, but it looks so good on her.
Yeah. Kite Man makes a comeback in this episode too.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was in the last one too. Like, he is now their mode of transportation in this post-apocalyptic world. And he even says that, and he says something about like, oh, in this world, it's handy to have a kite. And Harley's like, you don't have to say that every time you give us a ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kite Man is back, and like Harley tries to say, oh, like, you're too good for him, you can do better, and Poison Ivy is like, no, you're just not used to having a boyfriend who loves you. So yeah, you get more of Kite Man, and so yeah, Catwoman agrees to go help them break into the museum, and so yeah, you get all these traps. There was a great Easter egg of Egghead, which I thought was awesome.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it said Egghead's egg as they were walking through the museum.
Oh, I'll have to rewatch it now.
And it was a little caricature drawing of Vincent Price as Egghead.
Oh shit! No, I totally missed that.
Yeah, it was super cool. But yeah, so like Catwoman is kind of like, oh, like I can't believe you're hanging out with other people and you're not being true to yourself. And so Poison Ivy is sort of torn. She's worried about the person she used to be, and she's not that person anymore, and now she's got friends and a boyfriend, and so she's like, oh, Catwoman's just so cool, I want to be like that. So that's sort of the whole underlying issue there. But yeah, Catwoman is awesome, and I like what she's like, oh, you're not even being true to your brand. What was the last environmental thing that you did? And she goes, well, what were the last jewels that you stole? And Catwoman's like, I'm always stealing jewels. And then she has them all over her.
Yeah. But then how Ivy reacts to that, and she's like on a boardwalk or on a pier or something, just like pouring toxic waste over businessmen who had been dumping it.
Yeah, at the end, like torching all these Ace Chemicals board by very graphically killing them with toxic waste. Yeah.
His body's just dissolving and exploding and stuff everywhere.
Yeah. And Kite Man breaks in and ends up getting the crap kicked out of him by every single trap because he's trying to get a ring to propose to Ivy.
Yeah, it's like a leaf.
A leaf-shaped ring. So Dr. Trap, I was not familiar with, but I looked it up, and he is from the comics.
Ditto. I'd never heard of him, and I did a Google. I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah, because I was like, is he real? Is he new? Did they make him up? And I looked him up, and yeah, sure enough, and he looks just like he does in the show. Yeah. I was like, deep cut. I didn't know. And
it sort of, Ivy gets stuck with Harley gets stuck with Kite Man on his mission to get the ring, and she actually sees what Ivy sees in him. Mm-hmm. So she's come around to Kite Man, but yeah, he just gets the absolute piss beaten out of him.
Yeah.
At every turn.
And the B story in this one is that Dr. Psycho is babysitting the Riddler.
Yes.
And the Riddler keeps taunting him until he finally like throws a bunch of crap at him. It's like a bunch of like beauty products. And so then the Riddler uses the beauty products to slip out of it and escape and everything. So that's the whole subplot there. And there's also a really hysterical running gag about like the Riddler calls him a babysitter, and then he says something about like, yeah, but is there a line of young adult novels based on you, like the Babysitter's Club?
The Babysitter's Club, and that kept getting referenced.
Yes, and so then Frank, the Plant, and King Shark keep talking about the Babysitter's Club for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, because we hadn't seen Frank for a while either, actually.
Yeah. Did you notice that he has like a little butt? It's so weird. Like there's a shot of him from the back, and he's a plant, but he has like a little butt. It's so weird. But yeah, there's some funny stuff there.
Yeah, the Babysitters Club stuff. Like, Jess got a real kick out of that too.
Yeah, I love. Well, I think it was King Shark. I don't know the names of the Babysitters Club, but whatever, Abby or something. He's like, Abby was my girl.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, they were name dropping characters, and I had no idea. And Jess is just like nodding and laughing and stuff. I'm like, I obviously they're spot on.
Well, and like one of them had diabetes or something, or it was like. And they referenced that. It was so ridiculous, but it was so funny. But yeah, so like Kite Man and Poison Ivy, like they reconcile, and Poison Ivy has a nice heart to heart with Harley and realizes, oh, she's actually better with other people. It doesn't mean she's not being true to who she is and everything. And then the Riddler doesn't escape. Because he's like, this is fine. He's like, it's a shit show out there, but here I get 3 meals a day. I get cardio. I'm in the best shape of my life. He's like, and I get free entertainment watching you idiots mess everything up every single week. He goes, I'll escape when I'm good and ready, which I love that. Like, it's hilarious that he can totally escape, but he's like, this isn't a bad place to be right now. But the Riddler can escape whenever he wants. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, he's proving the point that he can do it. And it was also more to just piss off Dr. Psycho.
Right, just to mess with Dr. Psycho. So, no, that was hysterical. I love that. And then, Catwoman ends up stealing the leaf-shaped ring. Because, again, it was one of those random little conversations where, like, Harley and Poison Ivy were talking about the ring. And Harley's like, oh, it's so not your style. And Poison Ivy's like, I know, so not my style. It's just so whimsical. Like, too whimsical.
Too whimsical.
Just too whimsical.
What's the old Jewish guy's name that Jason Alexander voices? Because
is it Sal?
I think so.
No?
Yeah. Because he shoot? Because he shoots someone. Is it Psycho?
Psy. It's Psy, not Sal. Sorry, Psy.
Yeah, he shoots. Is it Dr. Psycho that he shoots when he's sort of hovering in the helicopter and taking one of them out? I can't remember now. I know he definitely shoots one of them because he thinks it's the Riddler, but it's not.
I can't remember.
Oh, well. Not important, but no.
Doesn't matter.
No, it's 3 really good episodes, and I do. It's Saturday morning that I have access to them here, and every Saturday morning I have that moment, probably half an hour after waking up, where I'm like, oh, new Harley Quinn. So I'm so thrilled. I mean, it's quite obvious that the production of this would have been one full season that they've split in 2, 2 13-episode seasons. But I was so thrilled that season 2 it came back so quickly, and I'll be really disappointed when this season ends, because I don't think there'll be such a quick turnaround. But
I know, because of course they would have already started the second half. Yeah, so again, I hope that if it survives one way or another, if not on DC Universe, hopefully on HBO Max. But hysterical, good 3 episodes. And again, like I've sort of just embraced the insanity of knowing that, like they're going to kill characters and they're going to bring in other random characters, and it just is what it is, and go for the ride. But good stuff. Hilarious show. I love it.
Yeah. I've been considering, when season 2 finishes, of doing like a few episodes of The Nightlight where it's literally just me and whoever going through episode by episode, but because they're such short shows, doing like, maybe 2 or something an episode. But if this quarantine thing keeps going and I start running out of ideas, that's something I'm toying with anyway.
Right.
Although, I don't want to steal, why not Futurama's idea or something like that?
You know what? Have at it. Be my guest.
Okay.
I don't care.
Fair enough.
No such thing as an original idea these days.
No, there's not.
What's funny is on the last Why Not Futurama, I don't know if you listened, we had a guest, and his name was Gabe, super nice. He does a show called Another Lousy Millennium. It's another Futurama show, and I owned it. I was like, dude, I listened to your show before I started my show. I hope you didn't take offense. And he goes, nope, it's fine. There's a million Futurama shows. I'm like, yep, there is. Nothing you can do. But
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. All right, well, Harley Quinn, good stuff. we'll continue watching season 2. Watch it on DC Universe or wherever you can get it. It is awesome. But also, after I finished up Harley Quinn, I went back to DC Universe and I watched the next episode of Batman Beyond. And then I made you do it too. Ha! So, we're continuing our journey through Batman Beyond. I do think it is funny that Jamie, I don't think any of his excuses are real. I think that he's going to come back the second we finish Batman Beyond. That's what I said.
Yep. We were messaging the other day, and I was like, "I'm on to you, son of a bitch!" Like,
yep. We're gonna finish it up, and he's gonna be like, "You know what, guys? I think I missed podcasting," which, of course, is not how he sounds at all. But what would he say? Yeah, guys. I can't do it, Jamie. I'll have to work. I have to work on it. Anyway. But yeah, so he's not watching it. We're watching it for him. So anyway, let's do that. Let's take a look at the next episode of Batman Beyond. Now, last time we had a twofer, which was super exciting. We did Hidden Agenda and Bloodsport, which were your 2 favorite episodes, Brendan.
Oh, look, they were fantastic.
So we're moving forward. This is now Season 2, Episode 7, Once Burned. It aired on November 6th of 1999. It was directed by Butch Lukic and written by Stan Berkowitz. So, we get the return of the Royal Flush Gang, specifically 10. So if you remember when they showed up in Season 1, Terry and 10...
Hang on, what episode was this?
Once Burned.
Oh.
Did you watch the wrong episode?
I think I watched the wrong episode.
Oh,
Give
no.
me 2 seconds. Yeah, I watched, what was the one I watched?
Did you watch Hooked Up?
I watched Hooked Up.
Because that comes next.
My bad.
Okay, well, never mind. Well, I mean, I don't know if you'll agree, but Once Burned was a good episode, so I don't mind rewatching it for the next episode. So, you might not like it, but I actually really liked it.
Well, I actually really liked Hooked Up. So.
Oh, well, damn. Okay, so we were going to do another episode of Batman Beyond, but some didn't do his homework or doesn't know how to read.
No, sorry, dude. I skipped ahead one.
Thanks a lot, jackass.
When you started talking about Royal Flush Gang, I'm like, shit, hang on, I've completely pulled this up.
The Royal Flush Gang? What the hell did you watch? Well, anyway, okay, so never mind. Forget all of that. If you're going to join us, watch Once Burned for the next episode, and then we'll get back on the same page. Sorry, psych, gotcha, forget about it. So instead of reviewing Batman Beyond, we will check in with you fine folks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
Alrighty, here we go. This message here is from Brad Dade. It says, "Hey guys, I listened to your discussion about Zack Snyder's commentary of BVS. Once again, you referred to the debate in The Dark Knight Returns if Batman shot that guy in the head. I've read the book dozens of times over the years. I could never see how people see it as Batman shooting him. I've always seen it as Batman shot beside his head in order to scare the crap out of him. The reason it doesn't make sense for Batman to cold-blooded shoot this guy is this. If Batman is willing to do that, then why later in the book does he agonize over whether or not to kill the Joker? In his head, he intends to do it. He mentions killing Joker would cross a line he made years ago, so if he hasn't crossed that line yet, it means he didn't kill the goon. He stops himself from killing him. Joker mocks him and then kills himself, so Batman will be blamed for it. Furthermore, if Batman kills the goon, it negates the ongoing debate that Lana Lang has with the other TV commentators that run throughout the story. Of course, that's my interpretation, and I respect others' point of view. Thanks for the great podcast. Stay safe. Cheers, Brad Dade." Brad, you make some very valid points. Brendan, thoughts on this?
I mean, it's one of those things. I've never really thought that deeply about it. Um, yeah, I don't disagree with the thesis there. I mean, I'd like to think that maybe he doesn't, because it's Batman after all, but it was very much an Elseworlds-y version of Batman as well. So
Yeah.
you know,
So Brad, I honestly agree with you. Because, and I think I said this way back whenever we talked about the book, I said I don't think he shoots him because later on in the story, there's the moment where he breaks the gun, and he says, these are the weapons of our enemy. We don't use these. So I don't think he would have ever said that if he had shot the goon earlier on in the story. But so I agree with what you're saying is like, yeah, he shot the wall behind him to scare him. But I understand why there's confusion, because I've looked at those panels and it's just clear as mud. But yes, if you look at the context later on for the rest of the story and then you look back at it, you go, yeah, it wouldn't make sense that he would have shot the guy. So I'm with you, Brad. I get it. And thank you for sharing your thoughts on it. All right, next message here is from Justin. It says, Andy and crew, I wanted to say I'm a big fan. I've been listening for a long while. Never got around to sending an email, so I thought I'd give it a shot. I always look forward to new episodes, and I hope everyone is doing well. As I would read DC and Marvel characters, the one thing that would always cross my mind is how a villain would look and exist in the Batman universe. Are there any villains from the Marvel world, since those would be the most well-known, that you would love to see Batman face? After your last episode talking about the Stalker from Batman Beyond, I've always thought that a version of Kraven the Hunter would be cool. Kingpin, Winter Soldier, Sabretooth, Bullseye, Taskmaster, Doc Ock, and the Juggernaut, just to name a few others. Are there any Marvel villains you would have preferred to face Batman? Thanks for your time, Justin. Thank you, Justin, and thank you for emailing. We appreciate that. So, good question, Brendan. Any Marvel villains that you think would be fun to go up against Batman?
Kingpin.
Okay.
That's particularly from the Daredevil television series.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that, but I mean, I'm not as well versed with a lot of the Marvel characters as other people are, but I do like the character, just the premise of Kingpin. Like I do like that. It's sort of like, that Lex Luthor-esque villain, but with the more physical attributes to them. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to say Kingpin because, like I said, I'm not as well versed in all the other villains.
Yeah,
only ones that I know from like Spider-Man movies and stuff.
I mean, I like a lot of your ideas here, Justin. What's interesting though is because like Marvel and DC, usually there's like a character equivalent on both sides.
Yes.
So like when you were listing this off, I went Bullseye. Oh man, I love Bullseye. I think Bullseye's great, and I would love to see him go up against Batman. And I was like, well, that's kind of Deadshot. Deadshot kind of is Bullseye. I guess the difference is that Bullseye doesn't usually use guns, but Deadshot does. But they have the same sort of, they never miss. That's sort of their thing. But do you know who I think would be cool in Gotham, and I think would be fun to see fight Batman, is the Green Goblin. I think he fits.
Okay,
I think he fits with the aesthetic, and he's also different enough from Batman's other villains. I'd like to see Batman versus the Green Goblin. How about that?
That works.
I like the Green Goblin. I just think he's cool. All right, next message here is from Charlie. It says, hey, my name's Charlie. It's my first time writing in. I've been listening for 2 years now, and I enjoy every show that you put out. I even love the Batman Beyond episodes, even though I've never seen it. I just love to hear how different you and Brendan feel about it. I've been a Batman fan all my life and a DC film and TV fan for almost 8 years, and I just recently started getting into comics. I've read some big Batman titles like The Killing Joke, Year One, The Batman Who Laughs, and Batman and Flash the Button. I've been looking for a Batman series of books that I can get into rather than reading more independent stories. I was hoping you guys could let me know some of your favorite Batman runs and what you think would be a good place to start. I just want to learn more about the Robins, mainly Jason and Dick, and more about the whole Bat family. I've heard the Snyder New 52 run is amazing, but I was wondering what the expert Batman fans had to say. I love the show. Keep up all the great work. Yours truly, Charlie. Thanks, Charlie. Very nice message, and thanks for listening, and we appreciate it. What do you think? If he doesn't want one-off stories, but he wants a run of books, what do you think, Brendan?
I've started reading recently Zero Year. and I'm working my way through that. I'm enjoying it. It's pretty good. I mean, you know, my standard answer is like the Batman Adventures run.
Of course.
They're just,
of course.
that is my favorite comics. But see, once you start getting New 52, Rebirth, I'm not as well versed in that stuff. I mean, I know sort of the older, I mean, like your usuals, like your Hushes, your Long Halloweens. So yeah, I'm probably not the best person to answer this question, but 0 Year is quite good. I'm enjoying what I'm reading, and you know, if the rumors are true that there's inspiration with potentially Matt Reeves' Batman movie, whenever that eventually happens, you know, it might be worth checking it out.
Yeah. I mean, that is part of the Scott Snyder run with the New 52.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that run is it's very easy to find the starting point. You know, you start with Batman #1, and then you just keep going. Because it's a nice, easy place to start, and you can just keep going. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. I don't love all of it, but The Court of Owls is great. 0 Year is pretty good. There's some good stuff in there. So I think, yeah, if you want a clean starting point, I would go with that. But if you want more of the Bat family, you're not going to really get that from Scott Snyder's run. They're in there a little bit, but it's more Batman-centric. I mean, what I would tell you, and it's 100% because of my own nostalgia for it, is like I would go back to the Batman solo series in the late 80s, early 90s, because that's when I got into comics. But that's when Jason died, and that's when Tim took over. I would read that, you know, because then you're going to learn about Jason and the end of his story, the beginning of Tim's story, and Dick is in there too. So, you know, maybe if you start with when Jason Todd shows up in Batman, which would have been, you know, again, late 80s, start reading there at his introduction. You're going to get more of Batman and Robin. And I love those comics. The stories are a little more standalone. I love the artwork from that era. Again, it's because I grew up with it. Those were the comics that got me into comics. So I understand my preference there, why I feel that way. But God, they're so good. And if you have DC Universe, they're all there. It's super easy to jump into those. If you want something more modern, me and Jamie have talked a lot about how much we love James Tynion's detective run. So if you look at where James Tynion IV started writing detective comics, that was a Bat Family book. And Batman is in it, and I love the way James Tynion writes Batman. The current James Tynion Batman run is amazing, by the way. It's really good. He's killing it. He and I feel very much the same about Batman and about Tim Drake, and honestly about all the Robins. So if you want something more modern, I would read Tynion's Batman run, because there's great Batman stuff, there's great Tim Drake stuff, there's great Batwoman stuff, even great Clayface stuff. That's really good too. So I'd say check those out.
When did he start writing Batman? Was he the one that did like the wedding and that kind of stuff, or did he come after that?
When did he take over Batman?
Yeah.
Recently, in the last 2 months, because I feel like I caught up on that end of February, so maybe he took over like in the new year. Maybe it was January he took over, but
okay, so
pretty recently.
There wouldn't be a trade of his Batman stuff.
I don't think so. It's still all too fresh, but it's great. Okay. Yeah,
I have to keep an eye out, because if you're saying that, and you know, if it would be more of a jumping on point again if it's a new writer taking over. I'll have to keep an eye out and see what I think.
What's so good about it is that he is I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. He wants to play with all the toys in the Batman box, but he also wants to add some toys, and so he's doing an amazing job of like being like, oh, it's a Batman story, but it includes the Joker and Harley and Catwoman and the Riddler and the Penguin. Like, it includes like a lot of the big villains, but then he's also introducing a new villain. And he's introducing some new toys and some new vehicles. And so it's like...
Okay, see, this is starting to sound more like my kind of thing.
Oh, it's great. And he's doing right by the classic characters and the classic villains. And there's some really great stuff with the classic villains, especially the big four.
Okay.
Joker, Riddler, Catwoman, Penguin. There's some great stuff with the four of them. And at the same time, he's not just retreading stuff you've read 100 times before. He's putting a new spin on it, but not so extreme that you're like, oh God, why'd you have to mess with the Joker or whatever. Like it's just the right balance. I think,
I'm gonna suss it out.
Highly recommend it. So good. All right, next message here is from Daniel Adams. It says, hey, Andy and Brendan, and hopefully Jamie. Not yet, Daniel, but maybe someday soon. It says, I've been listening ever since the BVS days when you were one of the lone voices of positivity, and I've enjoyed your honest, thoughtful, and and homoerotic commentary ever since.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what you mean, Daniel. Maybe that's why Jamie's gone. He didn't want to get in between us. It got too hot in here, and he's like, I'm out.
That's amazing.
You know what? If loving Brendan is wrong, I don't want to be right. It says, I'm writing in for the first time because a couple episodes ago I heard Andy say that he's never read Batman the Cult. I'm pleading with you guys, please review The Cult on a future episode. First of all, it's one of my favorite books, and I think based on your taste, you'd really like it. The art is fantastic, and the story influence can be felt from Nightfall to No Man's Land to The Court of Owls. It's also the rare R-rated Batman book that takes full advantage of being let off the Comics Authority leash. In my mind, none of the current Black Label books come close in terms of its gruesome tone. And The Cult came out in 1988. If that's not enough, there's a rare story to feature Jason Todd in a positive light. On a personal note, growing up, my older brother's comic collection was my intro to comics. He eventually gave me his collection, and I eventually sold it. For me, collections come and go, except for those 4 books. After 20 years, they're still on my shelf. I hope you give it a shot and enjoy it as much as I do. Thanks for all that you do. It brings me joy, or it truly brings joy to your listeners, especially these days. Stay safe. Keep up the good work. Daniel Adams. Thank you, Daniel Adams. Yeah, it's one of those that I should read. You're right. Absolutely. So you know what I'm going to do? Just for you, I'm going to add it. I'm going to go to DC Universe when I'm done recording this, and I'm going to download it, and then it's going to be in my reading pile, and I'm going to read it. So it's one of those that, I've heard mentioned for years. I've always meant to read it, and so, you know what? Now's the time. So thanks. Maybe Brendan will read it too, and then we will do an episode. How about that? How do you like them apples?
Yeah.
We can do it. We can dedicate an episode of this show to a comic book arc, which means no one will download it. That's always the way it goes. Next message is from Mary Jo. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family, this is my first time writing. Lots of first time writing. I love it. On an episode of his podcast, Kevin Smith said that Superman Lives with Nicolas Cage was going to take place after Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, making it the 5th film in the Christopher Reeves series. It was going to be a soft reboot like Batman Forever, but with a brand new cast. What are your thoughts on what Kevin Smith said about it being a follow-up to Superman 4? Keep up the good work, Mary Jo." Thank you, Mary Jo, and thank you for writing in. Interesting. So what do you think, Brendan? If Superman Lives, which we've been getting asked a lot about kind of recently, is what if it was loosely in the continuity of the Christopher Reeves movies?
I can't see that working as much given the aesthetic that we've seen that the movie was going to take. And, Nick Cage playing him and stuff. I mean, Superman Returns was definitely that. And that kind of works because they went for that classic look, and they sort of just replicated it, but gave it a little bit of an update. I think Superman Lives was too far the other way. I wouldn't have, or I think I would have struggled to see any sort of real connection there, other than the fact that it had Superman in it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see, is it one of those things where they just don't mention what happened? So, if you want it to be part of that continuity, it could be. It doesn't necessarily contradict that continuity, but it also doesn't lean into it. Yeah, I'd be curious as to see how they did that. I feel like that would have been the right way to go, is to just not mention the previous events, but don't say anything that contradicts them, so that way you can have it both ways. But you're right. I feel like by the time this movie would have come out, which would have been 98, it would have been over, that's 11 years after Superman 4. So I just don't think it was necessary to tie it to the old one, just let it be its own thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So who knows? I mean, honestly, I feel like one of the Achilles heels of Superman Returns is that it felt the need to do that.
Yep.
You know,
Agreed.
like, and there are things I like about that movie, there are things I don't like about that movie, but I just feel like that, like, shackling yourself to that, I think held back some of the creativity.
No.
All right, next message here is from Nick Zednick. It says, hey guys, after watching Batman, The Brave and the Bold for the first time, I've got to say it is truly a love letter to the Brave and the Bold comics. Chill of the Night is one of the best Batman animated episodes. It got me thinking, do you think we'll ever get a brand new Batman animated show that can live up to Batman the animated series on DC Universe or on HBO Max? Stay safe, stay healthy, and be well. Nick Zednick, co-host of Vigilante 1939 podcast. Nick, thank you for the message, and best of luck with Vigilante 1939 podcast. So what do you think, Brendan? Do you think there can ever be another Batman animated show that can live up to Batman the Animated Series?
If there is, they haven't done it yet. I mean, I know people love Brave and the Bold, and don't get me wrong, I do really enjoy that show. It's not my favorite. I've made no secrets here that I actually really did enjoy the Batman. Again, it's nowhere near to the level of what the animated series achieved, but it is very different aesthetically, obviously. But I liked the stories that they told, and sort of unlike your Brave and the Bold, there was serialized aspects to it. You know, things that carried over and stuff like that. Whereas Brave and the Bold, every episode was essentially one and done. Honestly, in a world where companies are cashing in on nostalgia and things like that, and with streaming services and stuff, I am legitimately surprised that we haven't heard, you know, a return of Batman the Animated Series, you know, like season 5 or something like that. I'm sure some of the voice cast have sadly left us, but I still think you'd be able to do it. You know, there were hints of it in things like Batman and Harley Quinn and stuff like that. I know tonally it was very different, but the aesthetic was there. I'd love for them to revisit it. At the same time, I would like to see another animated series come along. It's been a while since there has been just a Batman animated series. I think the last one was
Beware the Batman?
Oh God, Beware the Batman, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was, I didn't dislike it. It tried to very much do something different. It just didn't seem to connect. But I mean, I would like to see someone try and do just a good solid Batman series again, and yeah, see how it goes. I'll definitely watch it, but one can only hope. I
mean, so I would argue that we have gotten animated series as good as Batman the Animated Series. I think Batman the Brave and the Bold is as good as Batman the Animated Series. In its own way, it's different, but I think it's just as
very different,
good.
yeah.
It's just, I think they're both A+ series, you know? Like, so I'm saying nothing bad about Batman the Animated Series. It's A+, one of the best shows ever made. Brave and the Bold, I love it just as much. It's different just as much. Young Justice, I think, is just as good in its own way. It's just different. Do I think that there is room for another Batman animated series to be just as good as Batman the Animated Series? Yes, I do. I think that there's no reason it can't. You know, just because something else comes out and what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, like, something could come out, be just as good, and it doesn't take anything away from either of them. But I don't think you should ever be afraid to follow an act that's so hard to follow, because, I mean, you guys know, you listen to the show. We talked about recently about the Joker, you know, like, and different characters and they're portrayed, and it's like Jack Nicholson's Joker is amazing. Heath Ledger's Joker is amazing. Doesn't mean either of them are not, you know, like, it's a hard act to follow, but somehow they did it, and they're both great. So it's okay to be both great. So there can be another new Batman animated series that can be just as good as Batman the Animated Series. It'll just be different. I think that's okay. So I would love to see them take another crack at it. I'm into it. I would love one.
Yeah.
All right, next message is from Clarence Eugene. It says, hey guys, what type of role do you think Carmine Falcone will play in Matt Reeves' The Batman? Also, who is your favorite actor to ever play Spider-Man? Nicholas Hammond, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. Clarence, thank you for the message. All right, we'll start with Carmine Falcone. What do you think in the Batman?
I honestly don't know, because there's so many characters in that movie. I mean, it could be something similar to we got in Batman Begins, where he wasn't in the movie a hell of a lot, but he still had a lasting impact in the movie. I mean, Turturro's a great actor, so the more the better. But yeah, it all just depends how it's written, and it's hard to say. But I don't know if he'll be in it massively. I just hope that he's in it, that he's utilized well with the time that he has.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely expect it to be a supporting role. Like, maybe there's like a turf war in Gotham of Falcone versus the Penguin. Or maybe the Penguin is slowly muscling out Falcone. So Falcone's on his way out, and Gotham's in a state of change, and it's one of those things where like, they think Falcone. It's it's kind of like in the Nolan films where they thought Falcone's as bad as it gets. And then something like the Joker shows up and shows, it can still get way worse. Maybe it's the same thing here. As Falcone's on his way out, they're all happy about it, and it turns out Penguin is much worse. But I definitely expect it to be more of a supporting role like that. And then, who's your favorite Spider-Man, Brendan?
Look, I have to say Tobey Maguire, just because I did follow those movies. I know Tom Holland is more comics accurate. And he's great, but I loved that first Spider-Man movie. I really loved Spider-Man 2. So they're the two movies that I think of first and foremost when it comes to Spider-Man in live action. So, yeah, I've got to go with Maguire.
So what's interesting is that I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. I really do. But my favorite movies are the first two Raimi movies. So yeah, but if you're asking me who I think played the Spider-Man the best, I would say Tom Holland. If you ask me what my favorite Spider-Man movies are, it's a different answer. So there you go. All right, next message is from Ralph Richards. It says, hey, I want to see if you've seen the below images floating around on the internet. This video game designer has been doing 3D photorealistic depictions of all the Batman the Animated Series villains. Check his Instagram out. He does a new character every few days and adding a new character to the big group. He teased he'll be doing the Bat Family at some point as well. They're amazing. Could you imagine an animated film in this style? Stay well. Best, Skip Richards. I absolutely have seen this, and now I need to find his Twitter handle, because that's what I've been following is his Twitter, because he's doing it on Twitter and on Instagram. And yeah, he is a video game artist, and I know I just retweeted one recently. His name is Raf Grassetti. And so his Twitter is RAFAGRASSETTI, Rafa Grassetti. And yeah, he's been doing these 3D computer-generated artwork of the Batman the Animated Series characters. Have you seen these, Brendan? I've been retweeting them whenever he does a new one.
I have seen these pop up on Facebook and stuff, yeah.
They're amazing.
They're phenomenal.
Oh my god, it's brilliant. I love these. These are just so awesome, and I love what you're saying. Like, if they made an animated movie in the style, hell yeah, that would be so good. So yeah, I've been following this guy. Every time I see a new one, I retweet it. His work is just out of this world. It's awesome. All right,
make that a series.
Heck yeah. All right, one last email from our pal, CJ Higgins. It says, hey, Bat fans, first I want to say thank you for going through Batman Beyond, as I am reliving some of my favorite episodes. Well, not today, CJ. Not today.
Sorry, not this episode.
Not today. It says, if Batman Beyond were to be rebooted or have a new animated movie, would you like to see Terry's brother Matthew as the new Robin, like in the comics? I think it'd be great for him to learn from his brother, Terry, and to learn his brother's Batman, since Matt is such a huge Batman fan. And it would be a new version of the dynamic duo. Given your opinions on the original Beyond series, what do you think of a new Batman and Robin? Your bat friend, CJ Higgins. Thanks, CJ. What do you think, Brendan? Do you think Matty should become his Robin?
I don't really have a strong enough opinion either way.
I I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Pretty much. I mean, I guess I don't know where that character goes in the series to know if he does have a bit more of a role in there. At the moment, what's her face? The chick who found out his identity in one of the last episodes we watched. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Max.
Yes, like, she's kind of becoming more of a sidekick. Particularly in the episode that I watched today. I don't know about the one you did. But, yeah, I mean, I could see something like that happening and it maybe being like a Carrie Kelly type situation with like a female Robin or a Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I always thought Matt was supposed to be Robin. Like, I think I said it on the very first... When we started the show, I even said I always thought that Matt would become Robin because he looks like Robin. And in the series, I don't think that ever happens. But I guess in the comics it does. I never read the Batman Beyond comics, I'll be honest. So yeah, like I'd be all for it because I always feel like Batman should have a Robin. And in the future, why not Matt? So I'd be into it. I think that would be cool. Maybe I should check out the comics and see how that works out. I'd love to. I don't think I've ever even seen the design of what a Batman Beyond Robin looks like.
No, me either.
So I'd have to check that out. All right. Well, there you go. That's it for the Wayne Manor mailbox. If you've got a message for us, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. Brendan, thank you as always for being my trusty Robin.
Look, don't mention it.
Great. I never will again. Anyway, no, always good to have you. Always good to chat. Always good to have this quality time just between you and me. And if anyone else listens, great.
Yeah.
Tell our friends where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Loey007. You can find my podcast, The Nightlight, on Twitter at NightlightPod, Facebook.com/The Nightlight or nightlight.podbean.com. I released a new episode yesterday with Andy and Philip Barker, who was on BatCast with us a couple of weeks ago. We did an episode called Pitch Perfect, where we came up with movie pitches for franchises and films that have sort of, either long been dead or have no prospects on the horizon of being revived at any stage. It's just something a bit different and something a bit of fun to do for a one-off episode. So yeah, check it out. It got released yesterday.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Brendan. Yeah, check that out. I already told you where you can follow me, but yeah, as long as we're pitching other podcasts, thanks to our self-quarantine and social distancing, we have sort of resurrected the Real Fans for Real Movies podcast. It doesn't have the original lineup because I think almost all of them have retired from podcasting. But we did an episode recently on Return to Oz, the Disney movie from 1985, which was really fun. And then we have another one coming up pretty soon with me and Brendan talking about some heroes on a half shell. Or wait, heroes in a half shell? Heroes in a half shell.
In a half shell, yeah.
In a half shell. On a half shell is an oyster. In a half shell is something else.
It's a toidle.
Toidle. In a trench coat?
You got a LaGuardia, right?
Kind of looked like a big toidle in a trench coat. So yeah, if you guys have forgotten about the Real Fans show, go back and check it out. RF for RM, Real Fans for Real Movies, and give a look at the last few episodes that we have done and that are coming your way. Because right now, while we've got time to podcast, we're looking back at some older movies on that show. Check those out. And of course, we're going to mention Why Not Futurama, my Futurama show, and then there is of course Disorder, every Disney film. So yeah, check all those out. But most importantly, thank you as always for joining us on Holy BatCast. We appreciate it. Thanks for downloading the show. Please do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. Follow Holy BatCast on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook? Yeah, what did I say? Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook? Yeah, that's what I said. Again, if you've got any messages for the Wayne Manor mailbox, that email address is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that will do it for us. On behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been a Holy BatCast. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Oh, hi, mwah, yes.
Nice jacket.
What, this? Oh, yeah, I was thinking about donating it, actually. It's just like the style's gotten so trendy, you know?
Cobb salads all around.
Oh, see, she always does this. She orders for everyone. So controlling.
I got your message about the museum, Harley.
Oh, yeah, in light of some recent retellings of old stories I should have paid more attention to, maybe
They have an Egyptian ruby I've been thinking about wanting.
Ah, rubies. That's so classy. Yes, they're like fun and timeless, but like way less obvious than a diamond.
So I'm in.
Wow, just like that? Do you really like this jacket, or are we just saying that you did?
What do you think?
What do you think?
What's happening?